The U.S. is about to freeze green card processing for 75 countries starting next week. Families will be separated, jobs lost, and dreams put on hold overnight. Are you or your loved ones at risk? Stay tuned because what I'm about to reveal could change your entire immigration journey. Hello, friends. Welcome to U.S. Info Updates. Please type freedom now in the chat and let us know where you're joining from tonight. Double tap the screen if you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. I'm so glad you're here. Even though tonight's news is difficult, we have a major development to discuss, one that affects millions of families, workers, and communities across the United States and around the world. Today, we're talking about a new U.S. government policy that will pause immigrant visa processing for 75 countries starting January 21st, 2026. This is not a rumor or speculation. Multiple sources, including Fox News and a statement on X, formerly Twitter, from the U.S. State Department, have confirmed it. The government says this pause is necessary to protect American taxpayers from immigrants who might become a public charge, meaning people who might need government assistance after arriving in the U.S. This is a huge change. It's not just about paperwork or bureaucracy. It's about families being separated, job offers being rescinded, and dreams being put on hold. It's about uncertainty, fear, and the need for all of us to stay informed and prepared. Let's break down what's actually happening. The U.S. State Department has announced that, effective January 21st, 2026, it will pause all immigrant visa processing for applicants from 75 countries. This means that if your family member, or your employee is from one of these countries and is in the process of applying for a green card through a U.S. embassy or consulate, your case will be put on hold indefinitely. The government's stated reason is to prevent new immigrants from becoming a financial burden on American taxpayers. They say the freeze will remain in place until they can ensure that new immigrants will not extract wealth from the American people. In other words, they want to make sure that people coming to the U.S. will not need welfare or public benefits. This is being justified under the public charge rule, which has always been part of U.S. immigration law. Normally, when you sponsor someone for a green card, you have to prove that you can support them financially and that they won't need government assistance. But now the government is taking this much further, pausing all immigrant visas from countries they say have high rates of welfare use among immigrants. Let's talk about who is affected by this policy. The list of 75 countries is long and includes nations from every continent. Some of the countries on the list are Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Antigua, Bahamas, Barbados, Bosnia, Brazil, Cambodia, Cameroon, Egypt, Cuba, Georgia, Ghana, Jamaica, Jordan, Kuwait, Grenada, Liberia, Lebanon, Montenegro, Mongolia, Moldova, Morocco, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Republic of the Congo, Russia, Rwanda, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Senegal, Somalia, Syria, Thailand, Uganda, and many more. This policy affects family-based immigrant visa applicants. If you are trying to bring your spouse, child, parent, or sibling to the U.S. from one of these countries, their case will be paused. It also affects employment-based immigrant visa applicants. If you have a job offer in the U.S. and are applying for a green card from one of these countries, your case will be paused. Diversity visa DV lottery winners from these countries will also be paused. Conditional green card holders, CR1, IR1, I-751, who are in the process of removing conditions on their green card and are from one of these countries may be affected if they are outside the U.S. Who is not affected? Non-immigrant visa holders, tourist visas, B1, B2, student visas, F1, business visas, and other temporary visas are not included in this pause. People already in the U.S. adjusting status are not directly affected, at least not yet. But be aware that policies can change quickly. The government says this is about protecting American taxpayers and making sure that new immigrants do not become a public charge. The public charge rule has always required sponsors to show that they can support the immigrant financially. But now the government is using this rule to justify a blanket pause on entire countries. They claim that immigrants from these 75 countries are more likely to use public benefits and that the U.S. needs time to reassess its procedures to prevent this. The State Department says the freeze will remain until they can ensure that new immigrants will not extract wealth from the American people. Critics argue that this is an overreach, that it unfairly targets people from certain countries, especially countries with large populations of color, and that it will separate families, hurt businesses, and damage America's reputation as a nation of immigrants. If you've been following U.S. immigration news for a while, you might remember that something similar happened in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, the government paused most visa processing around the world, citing public health concerns. Millions of people were affected, and the backlog from that pause is still being felt today. This time, the justification is different. The government is pointing to public charge concerns and recent events such as the Somali crackdown in Minnesota as reasons for the new policy. They say they need to reassess how they process immigrant visas to prevent abuse of public benefits. If you or your family member is from one of the 75 countries on the list and is in the process of applying for an immigrant visa, your case will be paused starting January 21st, 2026. This means no new immigrant visas will be issued for people from these countries until further notice. If you already have your immigrant visa in hand, you should be able to enter the U.S., but check with your embassy or consulate to be sure. If you have an interview scheduled after January 21st, it may be canceled or rescheduled. If you are in the U.S. and applying for adjustment of status, you are not directly affected yet, but keep an eye on policy updates. This is a huge disruption. Families will be separated, job offers will be put on hold. People who have waited years for their chance to come to the U.S. will have to wait even longer with no clear end date in sight. Right now, there are still many unanswered questions. For example, will there be exceptions for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens? We don't know yet. The government has not released detailed guidance. Will there be exceptions for medical emergencies or humanitarian cases? There may be, but we need to wait for official guidance. Will this policy be challenged in court? Almost certainly. Immigration lawyers and advocacy groups are already preparing lawsuits to block or limit the policy. Will more countries be added to the list? It's possible the list could grow or shrink depending on future policy decisions. If you are affected by this policy, here are some steps you can take. Do not panic. This is a stressful situation, but panicking will not help. Stay calm and stay informed. Keep all your documents organized. Make sure you have copies of all your immigration paperwork, receipts, and correspondence. Stay in touch with your attorney. If you have an immigration lawyer, keep them updated on your situation and ask for their advice. Monitor official announcements. Follow updates from the U.S. State Department, USC's, and reliable immigration news sources like U.S. Info Updates. Beware of scams. Do not pay anyone who promises to get you an interview or a visa during the pause. Only trust official sources and licensed attorneys. Prepare for delays. Even if your case is not directly affected, expect longer processing times and more scrutiny. If you are in the U.S. and eligible, consider adjustment of status. If you are already in the U.S. on a valid visa and your priority date is current, you may be able to apply for a green card from within the U.S. Talk to an attorney about your options. This policy will have a huge impact on families, businesses, and communities. Families will be separated, sometimes for years. Employers who have sponsored workers from these countries will face uncertainty and delays. People who have invested time, money, and hope into the immigration process will be left in limbo. It's important to remember that immigration is not just about paperwork. It's about real people, spouses, parents, children, workers, students who are trying to build a better life. This policy will disrupt lives and create hardship for millions. This policy is part of a broader trend towards stricter immigration enforcement. In recent years, we have seen more aggressive use of the public charge rule, more scrutiny of visa applicants, and more efforts to limit legal immigration. Some members of Congress have even called for a complete moratorium on immigration. Critics argue that this policy is discriminatory, that it targets people from certain countries unfairly, and that it will hurt America's economy and reputation. Supporters say it is necessary to protect taxpayers and ensure that immigrants are self-sufficient. Legal challenges are almost certain. Federal judges have blocked similar policies in the past, and it's possible that this policy will be delayed or overturned in court. But for now, the pause is set to begin on January 21st, 2026. Here's what to watch for in the coming days and weeks. Official guidance from the State Department. We are waiting for a detailed statement with criteria, exceptions, and procedures, possible updates from USCIS. It's possible that USCIS will issue new policies affecting adjustment of status or other processes. Legal challenges, lawsuits may be filed to block or delay the policy. Changes to the list of countries. The list could grow or shrink depending on future decisions. Updates on exceptions. We may see exceptions for immediate relatives, medical emergencies, or other cases. Stay tuned to US Info updates for the latest updates. I know this is a difficult time. Many of you are worried about your families, your future, and your dreams. It's normal to feel anxious, but remember, you are not alone. Millions of people are in the same situation, and there are resources and advocates who can help. Stay positive. Don't let fear or negativity take over. Focus on what you can control: your paperwork, your plans, your support network. Stay organized. Keep all your documents, receipts, and correspondence in one place. Stay informed. Follow reliable sources like US Info updates for updates. Stay connected. Reach out to your community, your attorney, and your loved ones for support. Stay hopeful. Policies can change. Lawsuits can succeed. This pause may not last forever. To summarize, the U.S. government is pausing immigrant visa processing for 75 countries starting January 21st, 2026. This affects family-based, employment-based, and diversity visa applicants from those countries. The stated reason is to prevent new immigrants from becoming a public charge. The pause is indefinite, and there are many unanswered questions about exceptions and future changes. If you are affected, do not panic. Stay organized, stay informed, and seek legal advice if needed. Watch for updates from the State Department, USCIS, and reliable news sources. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe to US Info Updates, hit the notification bell, and share this video with anyone who needs to know. We will continue to provide updates, answer your questions, and support you through this challenging time. Thank you for joining me tonight. I know this is not the news anyone wanted to hear, but we will get through it together. Stay strong, stay hopeful, and remember, you are not alone. If you have questions, leave them in the comments or reach out to our office for a consultation. We are here to help. I'll be back soon with more updates as we learn more about this policy and its impact. Until then, take care of yourselves and your families. Freedom now. The U.S. is about to freeze green card processing for 75 countries starting next week. Families will be separated, jobs lost, and dreams put on hold overnight. Are you or your loved ones at risk?